little bit differently. We'll talk about Miles' career during our chat. Our stories will be far less great than the last ones. Miles is known as Dad around the boys, so you can tell how the boys and how he acts. But yes, can we welcome Miles to the Life Member Club?
All good.
Alright, so Miles, you were born and bred in Melbourne, played footy till you were 13, but stopped for a while.
Yeah, just lack of talent was part of the problem. No, it was just to do with my mates playing basketball, and I played with Luke Ball as my claim to fame. He was that good that he played down Ashburton. He would just get the ball out of the middle, I was centre half forward, he'd kick it to me, and then he'd run down and he'd grab it in the goal square, and he'd have 40 touches, 8 goals a game. So yeah, just basically just had basketball, playing Melbourne Tigers, and came up here when I was 25.
Yeah, so you moved 2010 to Canberra. First job, public service at Dyson.
Yeah, I actually had a footy club before I had a place to live. I was a graduate in industry, department of industry, and I remember my first training session was with Trevor Trelaw in 2010, and then he made us do 2x2s around the concrete here, and let's just say I made it halfway through the second 2K up, and saw everything I'd eaten for the entire week, but I'll tell you what, I lost about 15 Ks the next week, so I was pretty happy with that. I was as thin as I am up on that picture up there, so unfortunately I put it back on.
So the boys were known as the Thirsty Thirds back in that era. How did you find that first year at Ainsley?
It was probably a similar culture to what this table was experiencing, probably back in the 90s. I do love Wads' crowd control though. When he's mates, he doesn't get quite as harsh on the loud, rambunctious group. But look, 2010 was a tough year because it was the Thirsty Thirds, and that really wasn't my game. I really wasn't going to house parties doing handstands on milk cartons and falling into fires. That really wasn't my go. So after that, we tried to shift the culture in a better direction. But helped by you, of course, arriving the next year.
But let's go back to Dyson. Are there any interesting tales in those first weeks at work?
What are you alluding to?
Your manager?
Go on.
And the flower pot?
Got nothing.
Miles' first year at Dyson, he started working to a girl called Soph, who was now his wife.
She was not, I was a graduate, she was not leading the graduate team. It was not a breach of protocol or authority or anything like that. She was in the team that the graduates were managed by, but she wasn't managing the graduates. She would like to know that.
And can you nod your head?
Corrected from your record.
Well, can you nod if this is correct? She got so hot and bothered by looking at your face each day that she brought a flower pot to put between them.
That's not a story I'm aware of, but I'll take it.
That is a true story.
I did look like that back in the day, so.
So the next couple of years we won a few more games, started to play finals, and then you took a role in coaching, 2014. You want to tell the crowd a little bit about that year?
Yeah, 2012, 2013, we were starting to build something, and it was very special. And heading into 2014, this is when I got, and I was talking to Mick about this when he called me up a couple of months ago, or a month ago, and when I got the chance to volunteer and do the things that you can do before you have a family, and it was working with Plugger Andrew Farrell and Brandon and a few others, and just building something that, ironically enough, I can see in some of the younger players who are now sitting on that table over there, who are now the inspiration for me, because they're doing the same thing and trying to build that culture and turn us into something that the Ainsley club's more accustomed to, which is not having something to do in late August is effectively what we tried to build, and it was an amazing time, and I still look back on it with fond memories. So.
And what happened?
We won the flag, yeah, it was great.
So played finals a couple more years, but 2016 came. You were appointed second grade coach. Why? How?
That's a good, all good questions. I think
any stories about Rocky? And was it true that you are the only coach in history that wasn't allowed to select yourself?
Well, actually, Jono. So I was pretty much voluntold by Jono to do it, basically because I was whinging about the some of the twos boys coming down in the threes were just. Oh, geez, they were moping, sullen things, and I just was like, Jono, what is going on with them? They need to be, thinking about building a culture in the twos that's, in and of itself something they should, want to play in and not just miss playing first grade. And that led to Jono kind of putting my money where my mouth was and telling me, well, then, why don't you do it? And it was a great experience. So I didn't screw it up. We won the flag. So a few of those boys on the table were in and out of the side. I had a chance to sit next to Daniel Leather, who was in and out of that side as well. I think that, yes, Cole, Rocky had some problems with Cole. That was definitely something that I got to experience first with coaching selection in 2016. But it was just an amazing experience to deal with that group that was so young, but I felt like we built a culture that, they won the next four flags, so it was pretty good as well, but what I got the chance to do was basically just, I hope, build a little culture that was in and of itself. It wasn't just a group of people who didn't make the ones, it was something a bit better than that. Hammer helped me out, Brett Hannum, if he's not here, he was here last year, he was a great bloke. Helped me out, geez, he's a hard bloke though. I remember every single game, we would win by 60 plus. Hammer always had to, at half time, put down the hammer. He's got to say something bloody negative. And I kept on saying, there's a bunch of 22-year-olds, if you keep doing this, they're not going to rock up, they're not going to come back. And I remember I think we were up by 3 or something in the half. Do you remember, Alex? We were up by 3 in the half time at the grand final. So it was close, and Hammer was not happy that it was close. And I thought, I've got the perfect speech, Hammer. Don't say anything. Just let them go. They're a bunch of young kids playing in their first tight game for years. Just let me have at them. And I told him, you don't want to win a grand final by 90 points. You want to come in and you want to win it. You want to win a tight one. You want to go to Monica, win a tight one, and then go in the city. And I was getting nods. When you get a few nods from the boys, you're like, this is fucking great. This course I should have sworn against it. We had enough of that before. And I was getting nods, and then I was getting the inspiration. I was sending them out, and Hammer stops everyone and says, "And get the bloody ball!" And you're so soft, and I was like, "Oh, we just lost them. You just lost them." But they ended up winning, and So I think you weren't asking for a long story there, but it was a great year. So.
Hey mate, this is your story, so go as long as you want. Talking about grand finals, you've been a MCG member since you were born. Been most grand finals. MCC member, yes. Been to most grand finals. Did 2021 happen?
So I'm a Melbourne supporter, for those that don't know, and a long-suffering Melbourne supporter. It's probably why I've stuck around for 17 years through thick and thin. I'm used to the thin. And went down to 2018 after the D's were back in the finals and loving life, and then the bloody global pandemic had to happen just as Melbourne were half decent. So yes, thanks for rubbing that in. I hope there is a global pandemic the next time the Crows are good. So
not a chance. That will make it. Cool. Coming up to this year. So now you are the first community player to make 200 games in community football. How was the game 200?
200 was fantastic. I had a video from most of the boys. We pretty much ruined the halftime address for the game before us in the fours because the guys gave me a bit of a to-do in the lead up to our game for the threes, and just wanted to thank Ed and Das, who he pointed out I didn't thank him on the day of my 200, so I'll do it specifically and multiple times right now. But yeah, it was a great moment, and the other part of it is I was really worried leading up to it that, you know, I'd be just hobbling about like an old person, but yeah, managed to play half decent on the day, so yeah.
Do you have any regrets about not going up, trying your hand at second grade?
I've had enough conversations with Rocky to be like, nah, I'm good. He did say at one point, you should think about coming to a pre-season, and no, just no.
So you've almost kicked 400 goals. Many people, especially at that table, ever seen you play, say you are one of the most natural and best kicks at goal. Are you the best goal kicker in ANC history?
Well, if someone's writing a book about Ainsley, then I'm happy to give some stories. But yeah, I think there's one. I ruined Tommy Lemon's coaching career one day when I got new boots and the footy slipped off my boots and kicked 0-4 and wasn't too happy about that. We lost to ANU, but no, it's my claim to fame. I'm not too quick, I'm not too talented, but you get me the footy, and you've got to get me the footy though. I can kick a goal.
Alright, this is normally the last question, but we're going to have one more after it.
Because they're trying to clap me off, guys. Come on.
We've got a chance for you to thank anyone that you want to over your time at ANC, anyone that's helped you or been part of your ANC life. I'll give you the floor.
Thanks, Ren. Yeah, I'll be quick, guys, because we've got to get to I was wondering if. I just wish I was like, remember when Nick Payne wasn't on the list of people who are going to. For Christ's sake, I've watched him. I remember I was thinking about it. So I don't know when it was 2016 or 2015 when you kicked 5 in the granny. It must have been on like your entire hamstring with scar tissue at this point. And talk about, you know, Rocky's favourites. I'd be like, wait, should he play? Should he play on that? And he said, oh no, he'll be fine. I don't think he can run. And he said, no, he'll be fine. And he, ends up doing that. And so, but I like to think of my role here is trying to build a community within this great club that we have, and I felt like that I've been able to achieve that, and it's through the thanks of Wads over the years, and Lee and Mick, my 3 favourite presidents. Every time I see them, I call them my favourite president, but they've never actually conversed. So that all falls apart now. But I really appreciate days like this. Wads, like I'm with Cole. The emotion that you have on your sleeve is fantastic, and not to get too teary about it at the moment, but it is something that I've been thinking about. This is a little mini reflection of community that we have here, and it's so easy to screw it up, as we've seen recently in times, but it's just something to hold on to, and I really do. This is why I'm 41 and still playing football. I can't let it go. I can't. So I'll be, back trying to do it again next year. But I'm just so thankful for, those of you who've been around for so long, those of you who I hope keep doing what you're doing, and for what we've been able to create over in our little corner, and for the leadership of the club. It's amazing to be able to be a part of it. So yeah, thank you.